Hello guys, welcome to ZIAS. Guys, this video is going to be very relevant for you if you are preparing for civil services with sociology as the optional. Whether it is UPSC or state PSC, if the optional is sociology, this video is going to help you a lot. Guys, even if you have not decided your optional and if you are in a confusion what to choose, then also this is going to help you a lot. Okay, I'm Safir. I have cleared UPSC mains 3 times with sociology as the optional and I've topped the subject 2 times and I got 112th rank in my 3rd attempt. In all the 3 attempts, I went till interview with sociology as the optional. So I know what to read, what not to read, how to approach this paper and everything. And I've mentored thousands of students, guys. So I've come across all the problems of these students. I myself have faced all these challenges in finding the material, writing an appropriate answer, the answer writing format, the thought framework, what the questions need to be selected, because you will be getting choices also when you're writing the exam, right? Even selecting those specific and good questions which is going to reward you better, that is also a very vital, that will also play a very vital role in deciding your mark. And 1 mark is around 10, 12, 15, 20 ranks if you're going below. Don't forget that. So everything what we will do is we will discuss in a special webinar that I'm going to conduct on Saturday, this Saturday at 6 p.m. You will be joining me on the webinar. I'll discuss everything related to sociology. Guys, when I make a promise, everything, literally everything will be covered. You might have seen my videos in YouTube. There I'm discussing sociology, different topics, and you have understood the quality of classes. So imagine when you're joining for this webinar, what all benefit that you're going to get. Not only what I've promised, now I'll be giving you a lot of other surprises also. Join me on the webinar. I don't want everyone to join the webinar because we will have limited access and I don't want all the noises to come. So only those who are interested, please click the link which is given below. Join the webinar. Once you join the webinar, immediately you will get the login ID and password. Okay, guys, and you will get in touch with me also after that. Whatever doubts you have, you will be able to interact with me live. So in this 2-hour session, we will be interacting. I'll be discussing everything related to sociology, and it will be a much bigger value addition in your preparation, guys. Trust me, I'm promising you that you will be getting a lot of value for the time that you're going to spend along with me. So see you on Saturday and at 6 p.m. See you guys. Thank you. Okay, guys, can you just message me now? Am I audible to you? Just clarification. Yes, okay. Okay. Okay, so is there any lag or the voice and the videos syncing? Perfect. Okay, all right, guys. So we will start. We will start with the second session on Marx. Okay, guys. Okay, can anyone do the quick recap of what we have done yesterday? I will do it anyway. In 5 minutes, I can do it. So if any one of you can do it, it will be perfect so that I can also understand to what level you know the first session. Okay, can anyone do that? I can unmute you if you are interested to do that. Guys, so many of you are there, and if okay, guys, I'm just going to unmute you. So tell me who all are ready to talk. I'll select. I don't want to see the people who have discussed last time. I'll see.
Yeah, so Marx talked about society. He defined society into 2 parameters, which was a relation of production and modes of production. In relation of production, he talked about relation between man to man, that was living to living. Say if a capitalist is there and his workers, the relation between the capitalist and his workers is man to man relation. And then he talked about relation between living to non-living, that is man to the things or the raw material, we can say, that is living to non-living. He was the ownership and the things. Then he talked about modes of production. Under modes of production, he talked about basically 2 things: labor forces and the technology or tools he talked about. Okay, some issue is there in the internet. Okay, So later he talked about core things, wherein he talks about he considered both of these as a core values and the economic structure in the society. Then he talked about something called superstructure, wherein these forces shape those superstructures, which is education, politics, family, then religion or culture, and these superstructure provides shape to the it helps in functioning of the capitalism, basically.
Not capitalism, economic infrastructure.
Yes, sir. That's also.
Okay. Yeah. And then you use the word mode of production. It is actually forces of production. Okay. Forces of production, labor force, that is the living part. And then the tools and techniques, that is the non-living part. Mode of production, we will be discussing today. What is mode of production? It is nothing but society only. So we discussed that this FOP, okay. Anyone else can do it? One more if you can, it will be good.
Sir, I'll try, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Mahesh.
Good evening, sir. Yesterday we saw about Marx's idea about society as well as individual. What we start about, in order to survive, man must produce. Production is essential for survival. By underlying the necessity for production, Marx holds some assumption about individuals. For him, man is perpetually dissatisfied animal. When a basic needs are met, he creates new needs.
No, go ahead faster. This is just like, I just want the crux. This is just like reading the things. That's not what we need. We just discuss faster, like the way he did. Go ahead fast.
Sir.
Yeah.
He said about production, it involves two components. Sir. One is of relation of production and another is source of production. In relation of production, further is divided into two components. Man and man, and man versus things, man and things.
Okay.
In man versus man, when people are engaged in production process,
yes,
and in man versus man and the things like equipments, anything that related. In that, we'll talk about antagonist cooperation. The relation is about antagonist cooperation.
Yes.
In these two groups of opposite interests, sir.
Yes.
Still they come together for a production process.
Yes.
The next one is about forces of production. It is further divided into two components, man and things, that is the living as well as non-living things.
Yes.
According to Marx, FOP, force of production and relation of production are close relation. Nothing but ROP changes with FOP.
Okay, fast forward. Go fast.
This forms the systematic
view of
Marx.
And then you need to draw the diagram, right?
Yes, sir. Economic infrastructure shape this superstructure, social superstructures. This is what we say about total organization is based of nature of the society.
Okay. Yes. Further, I have talked about this. Okay, then I've talked about economic infrastructure, superstructure, how one is changing with the change in other, the changes will happen, and the vice versa, and all those things we have discussed. Economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn will help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. And then we discussed about being and social being, right? So now many of you are willing to discuss. I think, who's this old school? I don't know your name actually. You can discuss just quickly. It has to be in 2 minutes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
What's your name?
So, Swati.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. So Karl Marx has explained the society in terms of in context of the process of production. So what he says is, in order to survive, man must produce. And production, for him, the production has been the most important historical act. So in order to undertake production, there are two essential things. First is relations of production, and the second is your factors of production. So relations of production. Forces of production. So relation of productions can be of two types. One is your between living and living, that is man and man, and the other is living non-living, that is man and between things. Okay, so and between man and things there are two types of relationship. One is of ownership and the other one is non-ownership.
Fast forward.
Then, okay, forces of production, it's again of living, where like living labor force that comes here under your living forces of production, and the other one is non-living, which constitutes of machinery, tools, equipments, etc.
That's what means of production.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Then what he says is together ROP and FOP together what they comprise is called your economic infrastructure, and then these ROP and FOP, they help in shaping the other variables, because once the production starts and it gets complex, we need other elements into play.
Yes.
And that's how economic infrastructure helps us in shaping, not us, but it helps in shaping the other elements, like which is called as your social superstructure.
Yes.
And in
For
turn,
example,
social
what
superstructure,
can you give me some
like,
examples of?
Yeah, so education, religion, polity, all these institutions, even family.
How, for example, education system is created in such a way that it will help the economic
labor force. Yeah,
yes.
Right, sir.
Okay.
So, and in turn, social superstructure helps in the further functioning of the economic infrastructure, and that's how it goes on. So this was the main crux.
Yeah, then we have also discussed about economic infrastructure, shape superstructure, which in turn will help in the functioning, and that's the main crux of the discussion. And then we discussed about being and social being. Guys, do you think that I need to discuss again now? Rather than me discussing it, I think it was a much better discussion than what I have done yesterday. So that was a good explanation, Swati, anyway. Okay, so what we will do now, we will start with the today's session. Okay, I hope this is clear for all of you. I have done that and 3 of you have done that. So I hope things are more clear now. So, and the last one was much more satisfying also. Okay. All right. Okay. So guys, what we will do now is I'll be discussing about the theory of mode of production. So they will ask you like this, theory of mode of production. What do you mean by mode of production? What is that? What does that mean? Mode of production means society only. Okay. So Marx used different terms to explain society. Mode of production is one term. What else? One more term that I have discussed yesterday. Yes, social formation. Okay. So social formation, mode of production, all these are used to explain society. So when you are writing answers from Marx, these are the 2 words that you need to use instead of society. Marx. Okay. In case of Marx. So it will be theory of mode of production, or it could be theory of historical materialism. Now, I'll discuss few important concepts first before we move to the theory as such. Okay. So guys, when we discuss about mode of production, we just need to discuss about different types of society that Marx have discussed. Okay. That we will do. That is what theory of society or theory of mode of production. So historical materialism is also the same. Both are understood as same. Both we will write as same also, but some extra content is required. So when we discuss about historical materialism, the underlying principle, the idea that Marx used to make this theory is what you consider or understand as dialectical materialism. So Marx followed this approach to make the theory. Now you won't believe it, guys. 2011, you go to prelims question paper, not in sociology, even though sociology optional was there till 2010, as your prelims question also. In GS, if you see, there was a question, Marxian theories are based on which of the following concept, in which one of the option was dialectical materialism, and only a sociology student can directly actually answer that question. Okay, but anyway, you have some miscellaneous criteria, right? Every year, 5 questions, it will come from somewhere. So we are not concerned about that 5 questions, but anyway, as a sociologist, you will be able to answer that also. 2011 prelims, you see this question. All right. Now, what is this dialectical materialism? Before understanding historical materialism, we will have to understand this. Okay. Now, what do you mean by dialectics? Dialectics, when we discuss, these are nothing but contradictions. Okay. So there will be contradictions in every society. Even now, we are living in a society where there are some contradictions. Can you guys tell me or message me what contradictions, what difficulty that we are facing? What's the most important contradiction or the difficulty that we are facing now? The challenge. That's what contradiction. What is that? Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Just a message to everyone in the group rather than not poverty, politics. Is this the biggest challenge that we are facing now? Capitalist society. What? This COVID situation, right? The pandemic. Yeah. All right, guys. So dialectical unemployment. No, that's not the contradiction. I'm just talking about the current biggest issue. Okay. So there will be contradiction. Okay. Let's say this is a society. This is the society that we are living in. Okay. And then there will be some issues which will come, contradiction. And this contradiction will be, we will be able to overcome this contradiction, right? Before also, history is like that only. History is all about the struggles and the struggles and the struggles, and we overcome and we overcome. That's how the history is. That's how Marx traced the origin of history as well. So there will be contradiction in this, let's say, X society. These contradictions you will overcome and will enter into a new setup. Let's say that is Y. Here also, there will be contradiction. You will overcome that, and then you will come to a new society Z. And then there will be contradiction, and this keep on going. So this is what you mean by dialectical. Now, when I say materialism means how you are overcoming this contradiction, it is due to the change in material conditions. You will develop the material conditions in such a way that you can overcome these things. You will develop the tools and techniques and all those things. You will develop the machines, right? For example, even the present society, when Corona is there, the offline classes and all, it is stopped. So we have developed the tools and techniques. So we overcame that issue, that challenge, and then we are into a new system that we are facing the, Zoom classes and everything. So we are entering into a new system. This is a new normal now. Now, again, we will face problems, right? Some of you maybe from rural background, and you will not be able to attend the session properly with the lack of coverage and all those things. And then, guys, obviously the teacher-student interaction, that anyway, even though whatever we do, still that face-to-face interaction is not there, right? That is a big problem. So again, some contradictions will come, and that has to be overcame, and new society will come. There also it will come, right? So this is what dialectical materialism, contradiction, it is overcame through the material conditions, change in material condition. But this concept is originally not like this. This is not originally the concept of Marx. This is what I have discussed yesterday. I'll be talking about Hegel's. Hegel have been, discussing about this, and he gave the concept of dialectical idealism. This is what Hegelian speculative philosophy that we have discussed when we discuss about non-positivism. What we have discussed, ideas generated in the mind of the individual will result into change, right? So you need to study ideas. You need to study internal aspects. And that's what Weber have taken forward, and then Mead, and then non-positivist, the phenomenology and ethnomethodology, all these motivated from the Hegelian understanding, right? So that is what dialectical idealism. What Hegel says is, now listen very carefully, then you can understand Marx very easily. Hegel says the same. There will be contradictions. When the contradiction is there, what will happen is there will be ideas, and then that problem will be solved. You will enter here. Again, contradiction will come. There will be new ideas. The problem will be solved. Another society, there will be contradiction. Again, ideas. So that is what dialectical idealism. So what Hegel said is, it is nothing but this. There will be if you consider it as like this, there will be a thesis for anything, and then opposite to that thesis, there will be antithesis, right? And then what will happen is the combination. This together will be forming a synthesis. That the actual thesis and the criticism or the antithesis which is coming, they form a synthesis. So it is nothing but this is a society. This is a contradictions in the society. And that contradiction, that will be mixed. And we are in a new normal, right? In our society, this Corona came. Then we got synthesized with vaccination or the mask, and all these are new normal now. Okay, so that formed the synthesis. And this synthesis will then act as the thesis. That means now we are living with Corona. That's the new society, right? This is a new thesis now. Against this, again, antithesis will come. And then again, another synthesis. That becomes the thesis, like that. So society, contradiction, ideas will come, there will be change. Again, contradiction, there will be, ideas, there will be change. So this is what dialectical idealism. Are you okay with this? It is very simple, guys. Some challenges coming. For example, in our society, Corona. So new idea, Zoom. And that changed the system, right? Again, here contradiction will come, new ideas will come. This is what Hegel said. It is very simple. Synthesis is a combination. Just like the new society that we are living is a combination. We are carrying this COVID at the same time, everything, right? We are now this is becoming a new normal. All right. So when it comes to Marx, what he said is, now to understand this, you just need to know this one that we have discussed. What he said, economic infrastructure shapes superstructure, right? This is the fundamental point that I have discussed yesterday, and I told you to remember this. Helps in functioning. Now tell me, guys, ideas will fall where? Economic infrastructure or superstructure? Where ideas will come? We discussed that yesterday also when I discussed about being and social being. Your consciousness is decided by your position in the production process. So ideas will come here in the superstructure. Now, can you explain what would have been the change Marx have done? Marx is saying that ideas will come here. Hegel says ideas leading to change. Now, Marx is not against that. Marx also says, yes, ideas will lead to change. There is no contradiction. He's not against that. But who's shaping the idea? That's what Marx is picking up. Marx says it is the economic infrastructure which shaped the idea. See, you are living in this system. The economic infrastructure is such that you will start thinking in this way. The material conditions are like that. You think about profit. That's why you made Zoom or whatever innovations and everything is coming. It is because of the material conditions. So what he did is, yes, it is ideas, but these ideas are shaped by the economic infrastructure or the material condition. So what he simply did is, instead of dialectical idealism, he replaced it as dialectical materialism. So his theory is based on this concept of dialectical materialism. One thing is sure, contradictions are there. How the contradictions will overcome? Due to through the change in material conditions, material advancements. Material advancements means the way you produce things and everything will keep on changing. All right. So this is how Marx, this is what I have discussed last session also, discussed Marx theory of historical materialism as a critique of Hegelian concept of dialectical idealism. Or they have given, I think, Hegelian concept. That's it. Okay, so dialectical idealism, Hegel, become dialectical materialism. Marx again says it is the ideas, correct, but ideas are shaped by this. So if you need to go to the root cause, what is that? This, the material condition. In a capitalist society, your ideas are shaped by the capitalist system. So Marx is correct to an extent in this way, right? So that is the first point that I want you to understand. What is this dialectical materialism? There are contradictions. You need to overcome the contradiction. How? Change in material condition. What about Hegel? Through ideas. What is the change now? Ideas are shaped by the economic infrastructure or the material condition. Yes, Marx is also of the opinion that it is the ideas, but your ideas are a result of what? Material conditions. That's why materialism. Okay. Now, guys, so having understood that can be a separate question also. Now let's look into the theory. So if they're asking you historical materialism, you need to write this into two parts. In two parts, the first is his idea about society. Okay, we did it already or not? We have done the first part. What you will write here? You will write about forces of production. You will write about relations of production. You will write about economic infrastructure. You will about social superstructure and all those things that we have discussed. So the first part of this theory we have already done yesterday. I'm not going to do that now. Okay. If historical materialism is asked, this is what your first part. For that matter, any question from Marx, you cannot write an answer without talking about all these. That's why we discussed that in the first session itself. All right. Now in the second session, we need to talk about his idea about change. So in one line, if you ask me, what is the theory of historical materialism? It is nothing but Marx's idea about society and change. What is historical materialism? His idea about society and change. His idea about society we did yesterday. Change we are going to do today. Now, when we discuss about change, which I will further divide into two, guys, listen very carefully. This today's session is going to be very simple, especially this part. Okay, so one is the history. Okay, that means existing societies. Existing, I'm not writing completely. And then the other dimension is futuristic society. Existing society means the history. The other one is future. So he will predict the future also. Now, existing society, he understands in 4 stages. Now here, you will see the use of evolutionary approach, like Darwin's theory of biological evolution. I've told you before that initiated and that acted as an initial motivation or initial perspective in sociology. Marx have used it, Durkheim have used it, Parson have used it, Mead have used it. Okay, you will see all the usages by different thinkers of this evolutionary approach. So existing society, the first one is primitive communism. I'm not writing completely. So here you can see the term communism. Communism means everybody is equal. That's what communism. And it is going to end in the same. Here, futuristic society also, Marx is talking about it will again end in communist society. So from where we started, we end there, where everybody will be equal. But this communism and this communism will be different. This is primitive communism, where we are not capable of doing much things. Traditional society, okay, the hunters and those kind of activities you perform. I'll come to that. Then ancient mode of production. Mode of production means society. So primitive communism, ancient society, and then feudal mode of production or feudal society, and then capitalist society, and then you will move to socialist society, and then you will end in communism. So these are the 6 stages that we need to discuss when we discuss about social change. So your historical materialism theory is this. What if they ask you mode of production? If they ask you mode of production, you need to talk about this part in detail. Like 80% of your answer should be about this part, 20% of your answer about this part. If it is historical materialism, 40% of your answer is about this part, and 50% about this part, and 10% is about criticisms. Okay, so that's how we are going to write, and all those things we will discuss in the coming session. Now let's quickly go through these different stages. Okay, so this is very simple. So like initially, if you take primitive communism, people are alike, very less population. Everybody eat the same food, which is available in nature, abundant in nature. Whenever you want, you can go, you can get it. There is no concept of private property, nothing, right? So everybody is equal. Everybody can have access to everything which is available in the nature. This society is what Marx termed as primitive communism. Over a period of time, what will happen is population will increase. When population increase, naturally there will be scarcity in food. Okay, and what will happen is, some people who have more equipped, some people will start developing some tools and techniques to collect food. Suppose initially everything was available at the lower level. Now you need some better techniques and advancements to get it, because population is more, right? There is a shortage in food. So some people will devise these tools and techniques. They will have surplus food, and others will be dependent on them. So there is a dependency which is created, and this finally results into a master-slave relation. So there will be 2 groups which will emerge, that is related to master and slave. The owners of these tools are the masters. They hold the surplus food. Slaves dependent on them. Okay, and this mode of production, this society is what Marx termed as ancient mode of production. So primitive to ancient. All right. Now what will happen? Again, these tools and all these things is not sufficient over a period of time when the population keep on increasing. So you will have to produce yourself. Whatever is given by nature is not enough. You remember, nature imposed restrictions, but man have the capability to overcome these restrictions. What we did, we started producing food. That means the agriculture and all these have started. The settled agriculture have started. So these sections have started, and the slaves are pressurized to produce more and more. Okay, and what will happen is, this slaves, now listen this word very carefully, when the exploitation reaches at its peak, okay, the slaves are pressurized to produce more and more food, their exploitation is at the peak, and when the mature condition exists, these are the words that you need to write in, it has to be there. When the mature condition exists, the slaves revolt. When the mature condition exists, when the exploitation reaches at its peak, and will enter into a new mode of production. Now here, slaves revolt, enter into a new mode of production, they capture everything. Now they know how to produce things and everything, right? The slaves have the control over the forces of production, the tools and everything. They know how to produce also. But now they have the control over everything. They can produce, but still they are dependent on these erstwhile masters in terms of land and protection. Land belongs to them. and whatever they produce, they can produce, but where you will save all these things, for that you are dependent on the masters. Okay, so what will happen is, now the new system will come, which is based on feudal mode of production. Here, the erstwhile slaves become serfs and the erstwhile masters become lords. How this is happening, I'll explain in the next theory, that is the mechanism of class struggle. Here, just understand there is a revolt, there is a struggle, and we'll enter into a new mode of production. Masters become the lords, slaves become the serfs. So the serfs depended on the lords for land and protection. And for this, the lords will charge them some tax or rent, right? And initially it will be less. Over a period of time, it will keep on increasing. It may reach to 2/3 and 60%, 70%, 80%, like that. And when the exploitation reaches at its peak, what is exploitation here? The exploitation is in terms of rent. The more you need to pay. When the exploitation reaches at its peak and the mature condition exists, the serf revolt. Now, guys, what is this revolt? Who are supporting this revolt? How this is happening? Everything we will discuss in the next theory, that is class and class struggle. We'll do to Monday. Okay, revolt, and will enter into a new mode of production, new system, that is capitalist mode of production. Now here, why they are moving to this system, there is a logic behind this that we have to discuss only in the mechanism. Now understand this: lords, erstwhile lords become the capitalist here, and the serf become the workers. Now they are not dependent. They think that they are not dependent on anyone. They can, whenever they want, they can go and work. They can get salary, not property of anyone. But is that the case in reality? No. If they need to survive, they have to go and work. When they go and work, the capitalist will definitely exploit them in terms of low wages, more working hours, inhuman working conditions, and all. So when the exploitation reaches at its peak, when the mature condition exists, the workers revolt and will capture everything, and they will enter into a system that is what? Socialist mode of production. So actually here there will be the workers' rule. We don't want to talk too much about socialism because there are a lot of discussions and debate which is going on. We just talk about this. The workers capture everything and will enter into a socialist mode of production. They will consider the capitalists as their enemies, and there will be, annihilation of capitalist and everything which is going on. Okay, so this is a transitional phase. This is the point that you need to write. There is a transitional phase which will eventually culminate into what Marx dream. That is what? Communism, communist society. So like what I've discussed in the beginning, primitive communism, everybody was equal. Here also everybody will be equal. Everyone will be equal. There will not be any concept of private property. There will not be any state. There will not be any class. It's a stateless, classless society, because there is no private property or there is no such things here. Okay, so guys, there is a very famous statement, and if possible you can write that statement also in your answer towards the end after discussing communism. The statement goes like this: communism will not deprive you from using the products of nature. Okay, so that means you can use anything from nature, no problem. It won't deprive you from using anything from the nature. All what it does is to deprive you from using the labor of others in terms of such appropriation. Whatever you want, you can get from nature. If you want fish, you can go and fish. If you want to get something from nature, you can get it, but you cannot use the labor of others in terms of such appropriation. I'm not getting exact words now. I'll give you that in the PDF. I think it goes like this: communism does not deprive no man of the power to appropriate the product of nature. All what it does is to deprive you from the power of using the labor of others in terms of such appropriation. If you can write in these words, this is actually the Marxian words. It will be rewarded. Okay, some sentences like that I have given in the PDF, and I'll be discussing in the class also. These are to be filled in your answer. All right. So any doubts here so far, guys? That's it. Yeah, socialism, it's not, see, this Chinese concept of socialism and Russian system and all, these are not what Marx talked about. There is inequality or not? Yes, inequality is there. Marx have talked about a society where everybody is equal. It is a classless society. It's a stateless society. There should not be any class. See here, if you see, there are two class, master slave. Here there are two class, lords and serfs. Here there are two class, capitalist and worker. Here there will be only one class, working class. Here there will not be any class. So these two classes broadly are upper class and lower class, haves and have-nots. That contradiction between them is always there. That's the antagonistic cooperation that we have discussed always. Here there is antagonistic cooperation. Here there is antagonist cooperation. Here there is antagonist cooperation. Now with PDF, that language will be entirely different than what I've discussed. Things will be more clear to you. Okay. Mature stage, I'm saying when the mature condition exists. That's exactly what I have also discussed, Kishan. I think last when I said it is the same. Okay, when the mature condition exists means the exploitation reaches at its peak and their leaders and ideology and they are willing to change, the group will come and they will revolt. That's what you mean by when the mature condition exists. For that, I have to discuss two, three other criteria also that I'll be discussing tomorrow. Something called as consciousness, okay, class in itself, class for itself and all. Yes, synthesis is a combination of both. Okay, the good things from the previous, the thesis, as well as the contradiction is also incorporated in that. Means how to solve that. Okay, now let's move on to the PDF. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. Okay, guys. Now see the questions. Theory of historical materialism. If they're asking this, what you need to do? Talk about Marx's idea about society. That should be around 35 to 40%. And then 50 to 55% should be the change aspect, what we have discussed today. And then some criticisms, general criticism, specific criticism. Like Marx is giving importance to economic infrastructure, material condition. That is the most important criticism. Marx understands everything in terms of conflict perspective. That is another criticism. We will do that, okay, in the coming sessions. That's what, critically examine the theory of Marx, historical materialism. We'll do that. Discuss Marx's view about society and what, according to Marx, is the cause of change in society. That's exactly what we have done, right? And nothing was new here. And the good thing is that you will get straightforward, direct questions only. Marx's theory of mode of production, highlight the significant features of relations and forces of production. Even if they're not asking the second part, we will be incorporating that in our answer, okay? Marx's theory of society. It is nothing but Marx's theory of mode of production. Okay, so first line itself is telling you what is this theory is all about. It is nothing but his idea about society and change. Marx never used the term historical materialism. Instead, he used the concept, or he frequently used materialistic conception of history. His ideas about society are contained in all his texts, but the purest exposition of his theory is found in the book Contribution to the Critique of Political Economy, 1859. You need to write the name of the book in the answer.